without any delay, we'll begin with the analysis because, so honestly speaking, when I try to talk about today's exam, it went pretty, the content in general of the exam was a little bit of a mixed approach for quite a lot of you, but honestly speaking, it was from the easy to moderate look. Okay, so now when I try to discuss about these things, what do I have to take? In my first take itself, when I look at the paper altogether, definitely except for one part of the paper, other things were very, very easy. Okay, so your analytical reasoning, basically some other word for maths, but majorly analytical reasoning was a little bit that was lengthy in portion. Apart from that, all the other things were in the easy to moderate stage, be it the logical one, be it legal, be it GK, or your reading comprehension. Very, very easy stage. Moving ahead, when we try to see the highlights, major highlight that I'm seeing, legal was very easy. If you try to see the questions that were asked, all the 12 questions, they were pretty easy and coming from the topics that had been discussed. Similarly, your logic was easy to moderate, even though you had some questions that were a little tricky for some of you. But if you try to see at a longer run, in a larger perspective, it went very easy. If your concept had been clear, you are very good to go over here. Similarly, your analytical was at the moderate stage, but a little lengthy, because of which you may have to, spend some time in solving. So that is why it may have become a little lengthy for you. Your reading comprehension was another easy aspect, very direct questions asked and very direct answers available. Similarly, finally, your GK again at easy to moderate stage. Again, moderate, why? Because only two questions were a little tricky. All the other were very, very easy. You only had two questions from the current understanding or current discussions. Something like who is the chairperson for whatever place, or someone who, or India's rank in so and so. Apart from these things, all the other questions that were asked were majorly static. So if you have a good knowledge about modern history, if you have a good knowledge about India in general, you will be able to solve, you would have been able to solve these things. Now, this session will become not only helpful for the kids who have given the exam today to have a greater evaluation of the further process of this examination, but it will also help for the kids who are planning to either reappear or altogether give exam on the 11th of this month. Okay, now moving ahead, let's try to see the highlights from every aspect. So now that I'm trying to talk about the legal reasoning or the legal section, basically you had questions from what you're seeing on the screen. So of course, majorly the questions were based on your principle and fact-based questions. Okay, so you had questions. So your very first question was something with regards to contributory negligence. Okay, now that was a very, very easy question. And if you see, basically the pedestrian crossing road, now that is one question that was actually discussed in the class also. Similarly, if you see another question that is with regards to wrongful gain and wrongful loss, that was again a little moderate for you guys, but it was quite easy on the other hand. Similarly, another question that was there was acts that are not legally wrong. Similarly, adding to that was right to livelihood, that was like a fundamental right. Okay, no, Dhruvi, I will not be providing you answer key for this, but I will be giving you a general analysis just to make you understand what kind of questions and the difficulty level of it. Okay. So now if you see act that are basically are not legal wrong and the right to livelihood, this again was something that was discussed in the class with the same lockdown example. So it became very easy for you. Moving ahead, if you see, you have another question with regards to invitation to offer, another very easy question. Moving ahead, you have essentials for a valid contract. That was again a very, very easy question. If you move ahead, a question of strict liability, very similar question. Rather, I feel it was literally same to same question that was asked for your strict liability that had been discussed in the classes as well. So a very direct question was there, and finally you have a question with regards to master servant relation. Specifically, I have mentioned these topics so that you can have an overview about it, and maybe you can study accordingly. So try to see, there were some more passages with regards to evidence against like himself, or something with regards to child marriage, but that was majorly with regards to principle and fact based question, although it was easy. So more or less the pattern for your legal was very easy. It's just that you have to have a good base. Now, moving ahead, if you see your highlights for the logical reasoning, if you see the first question that was asked is, see, cutoff. Honestly speaking, understanding the paper being easy, the cutoff will not be, the cutoff is going to be high. Rather than, so if you see early last year, the cutoff was somewhere between 40s. This time it may increase. Okay, so be aware of this as well. Now, if you see, your first question with regards to logical was argument based, and discussing about sugary drinks. So that was pretty much if the argument is valid or not. Similarly, the next one was discussing about renewable energy, and it was assumption based. Both the questions are very, very easy and direct. Next one, a little confusing in the initial first look of it. That was the discussing of mobile banking apps. So and so person holding a mobile banking app in probably they were discussing about Paytm, Bheem app, Amazon Pay, and whatnot. All of these things ka discussion, whatever was going on, it was a little confusing at the first look of it. But once you try to read in depth, you will understand that it was very easy. The next that you saw was blood relation. Blood relation questions, two to three of those questions had come. One was, of course, the relation of Madhuri and Rajesh, if you see, and the other one was with regards to who is this person related to. So that was also there. Next, you had one diagram based question, that was relation between the keeper, umpire, and batsman. And we had four diagrams, and out of which is the most appropriate one. Similarly, if you see the series to word formation, now your series to word formation was these series make a specific word. If you remember, there was this word formation like, and it was quite easy. Letter coding was also there. Letter coding was there for a word called as tackle, and you had to see the code for cabbage. And it was a very easy this thing. Finally, you had one more question that was statement and conclusion based, and more or less it was also moderate. So your logic was at the moderate stage, but I wouldn't be saying it was difficult. Next, if you see your analytical reasoning is another aspect where you actually had to spend a little bit of more of your time as compared to other elements or other sections. The first one that we saw was time and distance based, है ना? So we saw cost of overhaul in percentage for reselling of the cars. That was a question that was asked. It was a little moderate, but we had question like this. Then of course you had probability related question. Then you had another one that was cumulative and simple interest was given, and rate of interest was also given, and you had to find the principal. So that was also there. Similarly, you also had one about find the missing number. Then you had a question that was graphically, the graph was there, and you had to, so basically the data interpretation was also there. Next, you had the percentage markup. Next, if you see the another question that is very regularly asked in a lot of examination is probability of getting heads when tossed simultaneously, and the number of that was also given. So you can also prepare yourself for these things. Moving ahead, if you see, you had another very easy section that was majorly your reading comprehension. Four passages were given. I have only mentioned three because the fourth one was very, very easy. So coming to these three, the first one was revenge is kind of wild justice, and the questions were directly asked about, author's suggestion is asked as per the passage, whatever is given in the passage. Similarly, if you see, the next passage was discussing national aspiration, that India as a developed nation by the year 2047, and something with regards to the current government was also mentioned, and other things were there. And majorly what was asked was theme, and what is it that we are understanding. There were certain phrases, and we had to see what does this phrase indicate, what is the meaning of it. So uh, so, okay, there's somebody who's asking about the cabbage question. Basically, you had a series of decoding. That's it. It was very easy. If tackle means ZXQ, what is cabbage? So you just have to decode it as per the same series and you will find your answer. And it was very easy as compared to the other ones. Now, moving ahead, if you see, the final question that was there was with regards to, um based on AI and human adaptability and the intelligence of it. So we had some children's approach that was also there, and some other parts of the passage had some different human adaptability discussions. And more or less, the passage and the questions were very direct. So, all in all, it went very fine. Coming to the other major discussion with regards to GK. If you see, majorly static GK was asked. If you're aware of static GK, you are good to go and you will know the answers very nicely. If you see, apart from this, you had questions with regards to recent news. Only two questions, rather, only three questions. First was index ranking, the host for 2024's Olympic, and you had another question with regards to this thing. Sorry, one more question with regards to ISRO's launching of PSLV G5 C56 and the country in which it had launched. Similarly, you had one more question that was the current chairperson of SEBI. These are the only four questions that have come from the current this thing. Apart from that, if you see, major questions were there from the past that you know, general static information. And one question that was asked was the full form of international organization. So more or less, if we try to see, all in all, the paper went from easy to moderate stage only. I wouldn't be saying that the paper was at the difficult level. So I am hoping if you have been able to attempt all of it, even seeing some elements of it being a little lengthy at the analytical side, if you have observed for a fact that the paper was, you know, if you have given 100% approach to your exam, I'm pretty sure that you will land up in the cutoff range itself. So, for the kids who are also planning to give a reattempt on the 11th, keep yourself prepared for these things. Keep regularly practicing for the discussions that we had in analytical reasoning. Similarly, prepare yourself for GK as well. So 12 and 12, 24 marks आपके यूं ही आ जाते हैं. Moving ahead, if you see, for the ones who are also planning to only give the attempt on 11th, prepare yourself in the similar lines. I wouldn't be saying you will be having the same paper, but it's obvious that the questions will be different. So try to prepare yourself in the similar lines. Okay, I'm hoping you have all understood the session very well. I will see you all in another video. Till then, bye bye, take care, and all the best. Study well and give good exam. Take care, kids.